In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a pretty simple song. There are a lot of versions of it out there, but what we're mostly going to look at, it's a very simple strumming song. This is, of course, Bob Dylan's If Not For You. Now, we're going to be looking at playing this with bottleneck. And I'll talk a little bit about different kinds. We'll have some bottleneck technique, how to hold your left hand, how to hold your right hand. But just a little background on the song, because the song came out on Bob Dylan's album that is floating around here someplace called New Morning. Here it is, in 1970. But the version, and Bob also recorded it on, well, not recorded it, but there are versions of his bootleg series. The bootleg series includes a much slower version. Eventually for this album, for New Morning, he sped it up, and it got pretty snappy country kind of sound. Now the version we're going to be looking at is George Harrison's from this album, All Things Must Pass, which included his slide guitar work. Now, I'm also going to talk a little about an acoustic version that showed up on Beware of Abco. So this is a great album if you can find it. There are some outtakes on another album of George's called Songs for Patty, and a really cool version on 12 Arnold Grove that is, all of these are very difficult to find, but the good thing about the 12 Arnold Grove one is it was a live show from Madison Square Garden in 1992, Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary. And on that you can hear George's slide playing really clearly. So I've simplified the slide part to something that you can do as a beginning slide player. So hopefully you've had a chance to check out my intro to slide lesson where we work on Amazing Grace, just playing the melody. So in that, we're just trying to play a one-note melody. But in this one, we'll be playing more harmonies to chords, and we'll be talking about different chords you can play with the slide in standard tuning. So without rambling on too much more, let's take a look at what your hands have to do to play this, and then we'll look at the chord progression and put it all together. Well, a couple of tips about slide technique. I'm using a bottleneck here, a piece of glass from a wine bottle that has been, of course, cut off in order to be shorter than the whole wine bottle. And two or three really important things. First is, I prefer the slide on my little finger rather than my third, and you always want to make sure that your other fingers are laying flat on the strings, muting everything behind the slide. The right-hand technique with the slide, it's best to play with your fingers. You can do it with a pick, but in this I'm going to talk mostly about playing with your fingers. And use your thumb, your index, your middle, and your ring finger all on separate strings, usually. Sometimes you can move them to different places. For the very first run in the song, I might use my thumb to play the fourth string, and then the third string, sorry. And then I would kill it if I don't want it to ring anymore as I slide down the second string, playing these notes, and my other fingers are keeping all the other strings from ringing. So one of the things that is really easy to do in slide playing when you're playing in standard tuning, you have to remember that you have a chord, an A chord on the guitar, is 3 notes on the second, third, and fourth strings all at the same fret. Well, the slide is really good for playing notes at the same fret. So if I want to play an A chord, I could put the slide at the second fret and play the second, third, and fourth strings. If I need to play a B chord, I could move it to the fourth fret. I'm going to put together a slowed down, sing-along, play-along version. So this would be a good practice partner for you to work on playing your slides with. I'll sing through it. It's a bit high for me, but what the heck. And we'll do this with metronome at 100. Have an introduction of 4 measures, the G to D to C thing, and then we'll start singing, and we'll see what happens. I'm not sure yet. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not for you, babe, I couldn't even find the door. you got all that, the one thing you could really practice to just get good at slide technique is playing your major scales. So a good way, you could review your G scale, starting at the 5th fret of the 4th string. Hit G and A on the 4th string, 5th and 7th frets. Go to B on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, to C on the 5th fret, D on the 7th fret, switch to the 2nd string for E, F sharp, and G. And that's what you could use again to improvise a melody down in a little solo part in there.